Baby hair.
Hello, my friend.
How are
I
you?
have I have Colleen joining me today, and I'm so happy because, of course, you have such a big piece of my heart, being one of my amazing clients that we spent 6 months together. So thank you for joining me today.
I know it's so crazy to think 6 months. And I also was trying to think like, how long ago was that 6 months? Like, and it was such a big part, like a very crucial 6 months of my life.
It was, and it flew by because we had fun. We had
Yeah,
some fun.
we did.
So, if my memory serves me right, you initially hired me to support you with the healing process after grief and dealing with loss, and then just kind of busting through some of the identities.
Yes.
Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So I, I remember just really having that breaking point where I was going through a lot, especially with grief, and I was doing everything I thought I was supposed to do. I was trying to get medical support. I was reaching out to a psychiatrist. I even started to be open to, medication, but I just felt like I needed more. And I had done talk therapy. I mean, even as a child, like I wouldn't say I did it like my whole life, but I've done it on and off. And I had been following you on good old Instagram for so long that I was like, just so much of what you said spoke to me. And right then when you said identities, that was the big thing. That
Yeah.
really is what I needed, was like, I know I'm more than just a great teacher. And how can I take action towards doing more than just celebrating being good at my job?
Yes, and so again, even through that work where we were busting through some of the healing, and I never say I'm sorry to my clients when they've gone through pain, or I think I've even said this to you, right? I will, because we're not complaining. We're not sitting in the crap of it. We need to be able to take that and create a new narrative about it and then be able to move forward, right?
Yeah.
So it's so funny. One of my other clients, she's like, Amanda, you don't let me sit in it. I'm like, no, we're not sitting in any of it. We are not sitting in any of it. It's still not in, to go through pain and heartbreak and loss is not enjoyable. We're not going to put on the positive poly pants and like jump for joy when we lose someone or go through heartbreak or pain, but we're also not going to sit in that. So I love that you were able to kind of like roll with that and keep moving, and you gained that awareness and the clarity to be able to use those tools pretty quickly.
Well, yeah, and honestly, what always stands out during that time is anchor thought. Because you would always say, okay, before we end the call, you'd be like, what's your anchor thought going to be for the week? Or you would just listen and like comprehend or take in so well what I was saying. You're like, remember when you just said that? And I'm like, yeah, you're like, that's going to be your anchor thought. And I'm like, oh. And it's just something as simple as like going to that, like recognizing that default thought and then going to more of that better thought, that anchor thought that better served me. And then also, I feel like, as you kind of annoyed me some days, I'm not gonna lie, but you were like, we're not getting off this call until you like tell me your action step. And I'm like, but I'm not ready. But that's a perfect example how you don't allow your clients to like to just to stick in it or feel in it. You're like, no, what, even if it's one baby step, what can you do to take some action towards this next goal or this next, thought or idea you want to, experience or play around with.
And I think that obviously when we take action, we start seeing those results. And that's why, right? Like as annoying as it is, and we say we're not ready for it, you could wait 5 years to be ready. And then you're not living the journey that you are meant to be living, right? Because you're so blocked and you're so stuck and you're just still in that spiral.
Yep.
And then you're not taking the actions that maybe are a little uncomfortable. So many action steps that we take are like, you're like freaking out about it. And then once you take it, you're like, that's not even a big deal. But you see the results more quickly. And then that compounds.
Well, that's exactly it, is the comfort zone, right? Like I didn't even realize it until I stepped out of it, how comfy and cozy I was doing. Amanda, weren't you even with me when I decided to leave the apartment I was in for 6 years and just move back home to my mom and dad's? Like I always knew, I think more people knew than I knew that I was going to always end up back in Western Mass, like back with my family. But I was like, no, I love my job. I love where I am. I have a great people, great community. But it wasn't until I actually left that was like how much resistance I was having. And it was like uncomfortable, but it was also like maybe I was being more uncomfortable thinking I was comfortable, if that even makes sense.
Yes. Oh, I love that you just said that.
Yeah, because you have to sit. You really do have to be uncomfortable. And there's ever since I've worked with you, I just look at so many scenarios in life where I'm like, people are just they're playing it safe. They're playing it comfy and cozy right now.
And that's just it. It's so safe that we can't even see beyond the safety and security, right? You can't even begin to believe what gets to be possible. But doing this work and watching all of it compound to other areas where you were like digging into kind of some relationships, like really being able to kind of create a couple more boundaries, if you will, right? So the initial work lent itself to some of the other bigger work that like really transcends to so many different areas. How have you seen that compound in your life?
Well, I just think the clarity, like just getting more clear about I'm like picturing the document right now of like all the core values where you're like, just circle some. And I'm like, what? And it's so funny because you get so in your head about like, of course I'm like, this is a core value. Of course this is important to me. But it was just interesting because it just got you to really start thinking about what is your like passion and your purpose in life. Like what really is me. And I was so like, oh, I'm just a great teacher. Or, oh, I'm just this, where I was more than just a label. I have core values and I have passions and I have purpose, and my work with you helped me to get more clear with that then naturally those boundaries came up because it was like, if this doesn't align with
Mm.
my core value or this doesn't align with what I truly believe in, why am I going to give it all that time and energy when I am just, I don't know, I just feel like I was finally walking down a clear path and I could enjoy the scenery for what it was and not allow it to like distract me and like consume me or overwhelm me.
Hmm. Beautiful. Okay, so would you say that the clarity piece, obviously the awareness needs to come before the clarity. So that's obviously very meaningful in terms of the work that has to take place to get to the clearer place. But do you believe that that was the biggest, like the most profound piece of the coaching work?
I do, because I feel like once I got clear or and even more confident, like a lot of what I accomplished, like immediately after working with you, if not towards the end of working with you, were things that I always dreamed of or said I would do or thought I would do, but I had all these like so societal like, you know, expectations or my own judgments I would give that I couldn't do X, Y, or Z until I did A, B, and C. And I got more clear about what it was I wanted. And then you helped me to just take those action steps towards it.
So the action, seeing the results, getting the evidence, which built the confidence and trust in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
It
so
just
powerful.
and just believing the better thought will better serve you.
So, like, let me ask you this: when you walk into like any new space, or if you like even walking into a gathering that you would have normally felt a certain way, have you seen that transform? Have you felt that shift? Have you like, are you like celebrating those moments? Tell me.
Oh my God, I can get emotional because I knew it in the moment, but I just thought of the perfect example at my brother's wedding this past weekend. Like I've been in so many weddings. I have so many beautiful people in my life. I have celebrated so many wonderful people in it. Yeah, there's probably a certain comfort zone that comes with like a family wedding versus like a friend's wedding, but it could have been, Minnie and Mickey getting married. It was who I was and how I decided to take on that weekend and take on that day. Like I went in there with confidence. I didn't overthink what my hairstyle was going to be, or if I wanted to get my makeup done a certain way, or if I was going to have food or not. Like, because getting ready at 7 a.m. all the way till you need to have your sandwiches. But like, and Chloe's mom did a great job getting me a gluten-free sandwich, which made my day. But like all those little things that like I used to overly worry about, I just stepped in to be like, no, I have the tools, whether like tangibly or mentally, to have a great day. And I also just remember being like, I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna smile, I'm gonna dance, and I'm just gonna enjoy the joy. And it was, yeah, it was so different and I can't fully put it into words, but I felt like I was truly able to be me and be happy, and it was really great.
Oh my gosh, beautiful. And the presence that gets to come from those places and the, right? Like just
Yeah.
the 50-50 where we often don't celebrate the joy because we're so caught up in our head.
Yep. Or even like being a single woman going to a wedding, like, you have certain people that sit with certain people, or all these like, whether they're actual couples or trying to be couples or just like pairing people off. Like my brother had a very wide range of groomsmen, and it was great. It was all the people that had been such big parts of his life. And so many other people were getting in their head about like, oh, who am I walking down the aisle with, or who, none of that matters. Like I like, give me whoever, I'll be happy to walk down the aisle with whoever. And it's like you get to decide to make the most of those connections in those moments. And I also remember like I could have all these thoughts and feelings, or I could just go out there and have a freaking great time. And it was so great to the point where I ended up getting a text message a couple days later from my now future sister-in-law saying to me that she was like, forget exactly how she said it, but she basically was like, Colleen, you were such a hit. Everyone was talking about like just the love and the light and like the joy that you brought like to the day. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it's just so, that was so nice because that was my intention, but it was just so beautiful to hear that people, also see me the way that I now see myself. And I think that's what it is people always saw me as great or awesome. Like even I was talking to an ex coworker where she's like, I was like, I don't know, I just left a job, wasn't even there for, I don't know, a couple months. And my coworkers made a point to take me out to dinner, get me like a gift, and say all these kind things to me where it's like, I barely know them in a bigger picture. But one of the girls was like, Colleen, like, you're my role model. You inspire me. And I'm like, I do. And now I'm starting to like see that and believe that.
I'm like, I'm gonna start bawling, crying. Oh my gosh. um, oh my gosh, beautiful. And this is the work, right? When you're really showing up from that true place and you're not in the chaos and the emotional suffering, it boomerangs back to us. The love and the
I think that's what it is because I am just being me, and it's so much easier. Where it's like, wait, people see this in me or they notice me, like I'm just being me, like I'm just showing up. Where before it's like I almost probably put so much time and energy into like, how am I supposed to show up or what am I supposed to do? Where it's just like, I don't know, it's just such a like a weight off your shoulder. Just be confident in being who you are, and
yeah.
those that deserve to and want to see you will see you.
But look at all the circumstance you bring to you from this masterful place of like doing the work and being aware and watching your thoughts. And I think that when I work with clients for the 6 month container, it allows you not only to like get those impeccable tools, but then to show up masterful in your mind and be able to come back to the light quickly when all the uncertainty of life shows up. What is the day going to bring? What is tomorrow going to bring? What is the future going to bring? No, I'm just showing up today and I'm going to let it all flow to me. Like, and there still might be stuff that happens, but so do you feel as though you do have a really firm grasp on being able to stop the emotional suffering in its tracks? Like, not to say that your positive poly pants are like, oh yeah, like today's great and everything's well, it's super. When it's not, like there's a reality, but being able to really say to yourself, like, what's true here? What is serving me? Like you said.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I recognize that I'm not feeling as like anxious or worried. Like I feel like I'm someone that usually has very high expectations for myself and like people like around me. But I also am a super planner where I'm like, oh my God, I didn't get X, Y, and Z done today. But I feel like ever since I've given myself that like that shift of like, I get to do this instead of like I have to do this. Or even like this morning when I was lying in bed, I was like, I get to decide, right? I get to decide, do I give myself some more sleep because I have the day off, or do I get up and start my day, right? Like it's just like you can sit there in that indecision, or you can sit there and feel it, but the moment you're just, I don't know, it's like I feel like I've collected this like treasure box of all these beautiful anchor thoughts, or all these just how I respond or change how I think about things. It just
Yeah.
makes such a it makes such a difference.
Well, like I'm hearing, you're not letting that identity take over, where then you start operating from ego and you start to fall back into that emotional suffering, living hell place. You're able to shift and become aware. And even though the planning serves you, right? I get to do this. The thought shifting that gets to take place again in the uncertainty of it all, right? You could be the best planner, and then the day COVID happens or whatever. Um, this is so powerful, so powerful. I just love seeing all the results, and you do. You radiate this excellence, and like you said, I don't feel like I'm showing up excellent. I'm showing up true and like from my heart. But that's excellent.
Yeah.
What else has come to you from that excellent place as far as that boomerang effect, the circumstances? Like, do you just, like you said, I see more joy in my environment. I'm able to go to events and just feel this level of lightness and freedom.
I feel like I've just built this like level of trust, like just trusting in myself, and choosing like my faith over my fear, right? Like whether it's, I might not trust myself in a moment because it's new, or there's so many uncertainties or odds against me, but then I learned to trust God and trust my faith, because again, back to that discomfort or that fear, there's so many things I would have missed out on, or I wouldn't have done if I was listening to those fear-based thoughts and not believing and trusting that it's all going to work out.
So powerful. So I'm hearing, again, not but being able to bust through the limiting beliefs and question them, which has allowed you to become just this trusting version of yourself, which again allows you to show up so authentically and beautifully and excellent. But also this firm decision maker, which so many of us, especially women, right? Like, and I'm sure like you see it now that you have all of these tangible and intangible tools, right? Like you probably are able to coach people through some of the circumstances, right? Like because it's just a matter of deciding and what decision is going to serve you and your values. And again, so many people aren't clear on that. But what would you say to someone who is a skeptic about coaching, how it can really serve them? Like, and tell me about whether or not you are able to coach people now that you have all these tools.
I I don't want to say I try. Like it's so funny who's open to it and who's not, right? Like the people closest and dearest to me, it's like they see me differently, so they're not sure if they can trust this new Colleen. Where more of like the outsiders, like more of like the friend zone versus the intimate family zone, they're just like, wow, like they just see such a change in me. Um, but whether I feel like I can coach others, absolutely. I think that's something that I'm actually working on. I have a really great community through my tapping certification. And I had a woman reach out to me where she's like, just hear me out. Like, have you thought about coaching people? Like, so definitely people see it, and I'm starting to believe it. But when
Mhm.
it comes to can you reframe that one question I think you asked, if you feel like coaching serves?
Just again being able to see how our thoughts create this reality that is not necessarily true because it's mostly our limiting thoughts or beliefs or again the fear-based mind trying to protect us. Are you able to kind of pull people out of that or support them in a way that helps them shift or helps them to see that
Yeah.
they have the power to do that?
Yeah, like even in like my work environment or connecting with new people or coworkers, I I had this one conversation where one of my coworkers opened up to me about something, and he stopped himself and he was like, "Wow, I've never shared that with anyone before." And I was able to give like that response or that shift or that question of, well, why haven't you shared that before? Like, that's actually something truly beautiful about yourself, or, just helping them to see like a different perspective. And then also, I've had people reach out to me like frustrated about things, and it's like, we'll make sure, like, actually, I think someone like missed a dinner with me because they were dealing with BS in their life. And instead of being like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, whatever you're going through, it's like, no, I know you handled that with grace, or you gave yourself the space to do so. And no matter what BS you're going through, big or small, just always make sure you're being true to you and like aligning with your passion and purpose, right? Because we can get so caught up in like the day-to-day things or the the daily BS that might hold us up from a commitment or a situation. But I just feel like giving people that what's the word I'm trying to think of, like that okay, like it's okay. Just make sure you're still being true to you.
I love that, holding space for people and being able to kind of do that without judgment. And that's what holding space is. And then being able to offer them some sort of thought shift or perspective shift. And they believe you and they trust that because you have held that space for them. Yes.
Yeah. And then
So
it's all
powerful.
okay, right? Because I feel like any time where someone's sharing a situation that happened to them, I feel like I should start keeping like tally, but like 9 out of 10 times it's the outside world's thought or view on it where it's like, okay, yeah, that happened to you, or okay, yeah, that's, terrible or didn't feel good. But what did you do? Or like how did that really how do you feel? Like, like I try to help people get back to owning their own thoughts and feelings and being proud of those, and then having that help them shift and drive towards a better version of themselves too.
Yes, yes. And I think that's where, I try not to let the frustration take hold because that's not always a place that serves us. Sometimes it does propel us, right? Like it's not, but it's really not a true human emotion. But there's so many people that don't see that they can have this level 10 life, right? They think that they're at an 8, but really, what if you're at a 2?
Hmm.
Because you're playing small and you're not showing up and you are in the worry thoughts, or you have all of these goals, but there's this doubt that's creeping in and you're believing it, and then it takes you the 5 years or 10 years to actually get to the goal when you could have gotten it in 6 months doing the coaching work.
And that's exactly it. And who's telling you you're too small, or who? And it might be your own thoughts, but I've also heard a lot of people lately, and I've seen a lot of great quotes that shift this, is like, don't let anyone ever tell you you're too much. I've had situations in my life where I've had people say like, oh, she's too much, or people say to me like, I'm too much. And then you take that as like a negative, but it's like, who, maybe I'm too much for you, but I'm not too much for myself if I'm just going out there and being me, right? Um, but that's just like the shift the whole world needs to make, is like, who are we to determine or decide if someone is not right or too much, or yeah.
Yeah, it's taking that massive responsibility, which for your brain. You are responsible and you have the ability to change the thoughts, which then again creates this either, like, again, tears the house down or creates this beautiful house of joy. So what would you say to people who have considered coaching, have seen the coaching work and are like, yeah, what the heck? What is this?
Try it. Like, what do you have to lose? Like, I feel like I literally was at a point in my life where I had nothing else to lose, and I was doing the work and I was putting the time in, but I wasn't getting the results that I deserved and needed. And it was honestly my first call with you where I was like, I need more conversations like that. And we still get to have these beautiful conversations, Amanda. Like, you are a dear, I'm gonna get emotional, like a dear friend in my life, and just one of the most beautiful people I've ever met. And I know I can trust in you. Like, I feel like I called you a couple weeks ago and I was like, I need to leave this job I'm at. And then it was like, yeah, then just make that decision, right? And it's having someone that fits into your life. Like, and I couldn't get more literal than that. Like, finding a life coach that fits into your life. You don't go sit on a couch. And I'm not trying to say sitting on a couch and talk therapy. I honestly think everyone has to do it and everyone has to try it. And it's beneficial for many people in many ways. But just having like someone to call you on a weekly basis or whatever amount of time it is, to truly check in on you and support you. There's no other way around it. And I also think, and I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, well, that's kind of like a best friend, or like you could do that with your friends, but you have to find that safe, like almost biased person to that you can trust all these thoughts with. Because if you're doing this with your friends or family, they're gonna naturally have those comments or naturally have things to say. Where with you, who's someone that's trained, who's done the work, who has their own coach brain, can help you coach your own brain. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just that, I feel like for me it's that simple. Like, just do it. Like I
Just do it. Just
yeah.
do it. I love how you said that. What do you have to lose? I mean, again, you think you're living this fine life and things are well and peachy and but what if there's so much more?
And also, why not invest in yourself? And I will bring that up because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm going to go to my therapist because I got a copay and it covers it. And it's like, okay, great. Like, yes, everyone needs that. And I support that. But what working with you, Amanda, helped me to realize is like, I never in a million years would have invested in myself the way I did with you. And yes, we're talking money and like the tangible like amounts, but not only did I invest literally money into myself, I invested in myself. Like I don't know, it's just helped me to better go out there and get what I deserve that best serves me. And me investing in you as my life coach just was like that little seed that I planted. And now I feel like I'm truly like blooming into this girl that's not stopping with investing in herself and taking those risks and going out there and doing what I know I'm called to do in this world.
Yes, yes. And that's what I want to shake people. I'm like, that bag over there, that car, that house, right? Like, yes, we need all these things. If you want to go out and get all your hair done and nails, I'm all for that, right? I sure as heck am. But the return on investment in your mind is unlike any other. I've had clients tell me their businesses are thriving now. Just again, because of their mindset shifting. And people are like, oh, mindset, mindset, mindset. No, this is powerful. This is magical. Like I can't, of course, I want to shout it from the rooftops, but I'm my best client. Like I have to coach my brain every day too, right? I've invested in a coach.
Yes.
That return on investment will pay off in multitudes.
I think that's it right there, though, what you just said. Like, I have you as my life coach, and I now have my mentor, Jackie McDonald, through my tapping. And the two of you, not only do I adore and like idolize you guys as women, but you openly share your struggles. You openly talk about how you have invested in yourself and you have hired your own coaches, right? Where we go to these doctors and these therapists and we're like, oh, they have a certificate on their wall. Boom, I trust them. But you don't know anything about them or anything about their life. And I get that. You have to have that separation, that privacy, and that professionalism. But when it comes to like your life and like connecting with real people, what truly draws me to you is you're just a beautiful human being you and keeping it real. And yeah,
Right. And it's not about like a coach brain doesn't mean I'm going to live this perfect life. It's about living the full human experience. It's about embracing the 50-50, the good and bad. It's about being able to navigate through some of those circumstances where we just want to like hide under the covers or protect ourselves. You have to override your brain constantly if you want to live the full human experience in a beautiful way. And I see that with you, Colleen, and you like you have this light and you are just shining it on everyone and I truly believe that there will be so many people that invest in coaching because they see you doing the work every single day.
thank you. Yeah, even back to the wedding, I had two people come to me and be like, how do you know Amanda DiNardo? I'm like, well, let me tell you. She's my life coach. And they're like, I just feel like it was like, it sounds cheesy, but it was almost like, here's like real life version that what Amanda's work, like what life coaching can do for someone.
Yeah.
And then to have like just these people come up to me and not only be curious about our connection, but listen and truly and genuinely be like, wow, she did impact your life. And now look at you.
It's so powerful, Colleen. And I say this to all my clients, right? Like I'm the catalyst and like again, you pay attention. There's the accountability. The container is made to do that so that you can see those maximum results and get to that higher level version of yourself. It's really bridging the gap, but you're the one doing the work. If you are not ready to, and again, it's whether you're ready or not, as long as your heart is open this much.
That's exactly it. It's about being open to it. And those that aren't open to it, I really encourage you to sit with why you're not.
Mm,
And
yeah.
and just write that down and then just be aware of that throughout the day. And then you'll quickly realize, like, oh, that's just a limiting belief or a societal expectation that I've had in my head that doesn't really matter.
Let me ask you this, just because this kind of lends itself to the entire conversation. Would you, if you didn't invest in coaching, where do you think you would be today?
Oh boy. Um, Probably still curling up in a ball, crying on the floor at my parents' house, right? Like I would be still in that pattern, victimized behavior of poor me. Why do these things happen to me? I am a great person, but nothing great is happening. That's not fair. I don't get it. And I think I would just be going through the motions still and just hoping something great would happen instead of being like, well, it's like that hope so to that no so. Like, stop saying I hope this. I know, I know I can buy a house. I know I can get a puppy. I know I can leave a job after 9 years and get a new one, and then get a new one and leave that one, because I now know what I deserve and what truly serves me. I feel like I'm out of that hamster wheel and I'm like truly walking down the path that God has made for me.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you and I are big believers, and that is just it, right? But the knowing and the faith and the trust, that's hard, right? That is harder to do in all of life's uncertainty, but getting to that place of I know, because you've created the results, you've taken the action, and then you've seen the evidence, even if it is just like the evidence of people saying, Colleen, you girl, it's like magic being around you. I feel like I'm like sparkling because you're sparkling over there, right?
Thank you.
It's so beautiful. I love you dearly. I thank you for your time today. Anything else that you want to share, or any other coaching wisdom that has served you in this season?
That you matter. And I know this is going to be so cliche, but I thought about this the other day. I wish I found you sooner, right? Like, but I also don't want to say that, because it was all meant to be the way it was supposed to be, right? Like, I had to go through 33 years of struggle before, where some people might go through only 20 or go through 79, right? But I take that back. I don't wish I found you sooner. I just want to share, do invest in yourself and give this gift to yourself. Like, do the work and you can have someone to guide you through it, because it's so worth it.
Girl, I can't wait to see all the possibilities that show up for you.
Thank
Like I really believe mean that, and I can't wait. I think there's
you.
so much more, and you're willing to step into all of it. It's powerful. It's so
Yeah.
powerful, and you get to have this, I say magical life, but this beautiful trusting, knowing place where you get to create this amazing life. And I say, like, creating sounds like, well, how can I create this life in all the uncertainty? You can.
Yep.
You really can.
And it's like I now can see, like, literally clearer, right? Like, I was that girl who couldn't picture or see her life or vision that beauty. But because of the work I've done with getting rid of those limiting beliefs, putting up boundaries so I don't have the fog in the way, I now can literally see what it is I want in my life. Where for so long, I just think I was like bogged down or not able to see clear.
Yes, and I love that you said that, because these are the types of conversations I have with so many people, that whether they're in the coaching space or in the thought leader community, we all have a unique passion and purpose. And if you can't see that because you're so blocked, you are going to feel like this this despair place. It's going to feel really inauthentic. It's going to feel like going through the motions, the hamster wheel, like right, like the proverbial rat race that we continue to engage in year after year. It's kind of like, you set the goal to lose the weight, and February rolls around and the parking lot is not full at the gym anymore, right? Because we get so bogged down and we can't see that clear path that is meant for each and every one of us. You see
Not
that
what,
path.
not what the
Yeah.
rest of the world tells us is for us.
Yes.
I think that's, and even just being my, is it my authentic self, right? Like just being who I am, and like, oh, we could go on and on. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't have bought a house if I went by what I thought was what you were supposed to do, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna keep online dating. I'm gonna find a man. I have to have someone. I can't just get a house by myself. Yes, I can. Why can't I? Right? Like it's just, yeah.
It's so beautiful, Colleen. Thank you. You're the best. So blessed to have you. Thank you for sharing your journey with me and the coaching space, and the journey that continues as
Yes.
far as being so masterful in your mind.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Keep creating this beautiful life. I love you.
Yes, love you too.